During elections in many parts of Africa, journalism has suffered. That's the findings by media watchdog Reporters Without Borders, or RSF. Sadibou Marang is the head of RSF's Sub-Saharan Africa Bureau, based in Dakar, Senegal.
We have seen, for example, in Madagascar, where nearly during the election period, nearly 10 journalists has been, either attacked or persecuted or even arrested. We also have seen the same trends during election time in Nigeria, where nearly 20 journalists and 20 reporters, they have been attacked, persecuted, and harassed during the election.
Marang says they've also observed that in some places, politicians created their own media outlets to impose their own narratives.
This was the case, for example, in Senegal, where we have seen ahead of in the run-up to the election, for example, the birth of many newspapers, most of which were belonging to politicians.
Restrictions on access to information was also noted in the Sahel region. Niger's ranking fell 19 places to land at 80, Burkina Faso plummeted 28 places to rank 86, and neighboring Mali is at 114th place. All three countries are run by military juntas.
In Burkina Faso, there is no longer international media. There is no longer international reporters, international correspondents. That's also the case in Mali, and that also has been the case in the latest junta's ruling countries, which is Niger.
Last week, Burkina Faso suspended several Western and African media over their coverage of a Human Rights Watch report alleging the killings of civilians earlier this year by the country's military. The U.S. Department of State this week said it's very alarmed by the action.
Far too many governments use repression to silence free expression, particularly against journalists and media organizations, for simply doing their jobs.
In East Africa, Eritrea took the last spot in the rankings. One of the world's most censored countries, the government there has shut down all independent media houses for more than 20 years, according to Freedom House. And as of late 2023, the Committee to Protect Journalists said that 16 reporters remain behind bars. But in other places in the region, Victor Buwere, Director for Media Training and Development at the Media Council of Kenya, lauds what he calls a dynamic media space.
Uganda has, I think, 300 radio stations, Tanzania more than 300 radio stations, Kenya has 290 radio stations. That tells you that largely we are talking about a very expanded media space.
But there are still challenges associated with the profession in the region, he notes.
If you are a journalist in Uganda and you have seen, especially around election time, if you put on a press jacket, you are marked your end.
There are a few countries on a positive trajectory, including Mauritania, where state media dominates the landscape, but abuses against journalists decreased, making it jump 53 places in less than a year to rank the highest in Africa. Tanzania also rose 46 places. Mariama Diallo, VOA News, Nairobi.